In my novel Gundog, the lead character Stevie is an intelligent product of his council estate environment. A council estate is what I guess Americans would call the projects. It would be wrong, though, to see Stevie as a sensitive soul caught up in a brutal world. Stevie's part of that world. Holding the gun is seductive for Stevie, because when he has the gun, he no longer fears anything or anyone. In writing the novel, sure, I was always working towards Stevie's downfall. This is a tragedy, but it is an avoidable tragedy. If other authorities had been doing their job, and I'm talking mostly about the police here, then this tragedy could have been avoided altogether. There are a lot of Stevies out there. And the tragedy is that people like Stevie often no longer have the chance to escape this environment. They're stuck in a rut, and they're going to live there, and sometimes they're going to die there. Stevie relates to movie characters, particularly action movie characters. Movie characters tend to be larger than life. Their heroism has to be compressed into a short time span in the telling of a story. This makes them seem stronger, tougher, more relentless than people are in real life. When you feel powerless in any situation, sometimes it's tempting to see yourself in the terms of the action heroes that you admire in movies and TV programs that you watch. This is certainly the case with Stevie. I do have to confess here, there was an ulterior motive for making Stevie a movie fan. If just one or two people who read Gundog watch the old classic movies that Stevie refers to and develop a taste for them, I think I'd get a kick out of that. Gundog does have a bleak ending, and an ending that seems to be without any hope for the characters involved in the story. On these estates, life for a lot of people is utterly devoid of hope. These places have become lawless. They're like the Wild West. Some people have suggested that the ending is particularly horrifying. I think they mean because of the actions of Stevie and what happens to the head of the thug family that end up on Stevie's doorstep. But for me, that's not the horrifying part. The horrifying part is that this intelligent kid who had dreams of going to university to escape this environment, which is possibly the only way out, he's forced to take the law into his own hands when the authorities won't help him or his family. And this is the real tragedy of the story for me. One of the things I hope will happen when people read Gundog, particularly young people, is that it might make them reflect a little on the environment that they live in, where they come from, and how their actions and the actions of others affect other people. I'd love to think that someone reading Gundog might look and realize that just simple things like shouting obscenities in the street, behaving in a fashion that does make other people afraid and intimidates other people, just dropping litter, spraying graffiti tags all over the place. All of these little things add up to create an environment in which it's difficult to live in peace. I'm not holding out any great hope for that, but it would be fantastic if that happened. Certainly, that was an idea that went through my mind as I was writing the story. Stevie often uses animal imagery to describe himself and others, and there's a real reason for doing this. I mean, the idea is that people are dehumanized to a great degree when they're living in violent surroundings where there is no law and order. I do believe that thinking of people not as human, in fact actually devaluing the concept of humanity itself, does lead people to behave like animals. And I don't mean this in any sense that they have the purity of animals in the wild. I mean it in the derogatory sense that they're behaving in a less than human fashion. As a writer, I only see characters in terms of how they can move along the ideas that are inherent in the plot. To me, the story is everything. I have absolutely no problem whatsoever in hurting my characters or even killing them off if that's what serves the story best. Yeah, sure. I mean, I do become attached to some of these characters. I mean, some characters that I've written in the past, I've really come to like. But you know what? When they need to be killed, I'll kill them. When they need to be tortured, I'll torture them. This doesn't happen necessarily in Gundog, but in general, I don't get so attached to my characters that I feel a sentimentality about them. It's the story that I'm trying to tell. I'm not trying to become best friends with an imaginary character that I've invented and created. In the past, my work has been mostly horror related. I've written several horror novels, and I've also written the Darkman series of illustrated books published by Lancett. Writing the cutting edge books, I mean, I've also written Seeing Red for the cutting edge series, where I had to come out of this horror fantasy environment and write for the real world, is something that I think I'm happier and more comfortable doing now. I don't think I'll be writing any horror stories anymore. And for example, currently I'm writing a movie script that's a romantic comedy set in California. It's a story about a young girl, and it's all sunshine and happiness and jokes and humor. But at the moment, this is something that I'm really enjoying. Perhaps I'll end up writing a chick lit novel. Gundog is my second novel for the Cutting Edge series. I wrote Seeing Red, which is a totally different kind of story, really. Seeing Red isn't as depressingly relentless as Gundog. I mean, the lead character in Seeing Red, the story is all about him. It's an almost narcissistic look at what goes on in this character's mind. Gundog is much more about the actions of the characters, about the environment in which those actions take place. Gundog explores ideas that I feel very strongly about and that are very close to me because of where I came from and where I grew up. Gundog is something that I absolutely had to get off my chest. It had been festering in there for a long time, and I'm glad I wrote it. I hope you enjoy it.